when you see these emails, now they have to be looked at. How if they're found guilty of this, just in one email alone, we're talking 42 million pounds. So yesterday, a lot of people were saying, but maybe this behavior, if proven, hasn't really been the reason that they've still won these Premier League titles. You know, the players on the pitch still won them; they deserve to keep them. If they're found guilty of this, what do you think the punishment should be, Lee?
Well, based on the rules, which we'll come to in a bit, but based on the rules, then they should be relegated. Because that is what's in place. That if you've breached certain laws, rules of the financial side of it, you should be deducted points or relegated. So if we strip back these 100 alleged offences, and let's say they get done for 25 of them, well, that's probably still enough for them to get relegated. And not just relegated one division, all the way down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just find it all laughable. Like, all of this has come out and people are saying they're cooking the books. What was it? They're doping, financial doping and all the... Yeah, welcome to the world of manipulating figures. Yeah, when you're an elite person with an elite level of wealth. Because all these people crying about, oh, it was a PO box in London. Just Google Cayman Islands. Yeah, go and have a look at some of the companies there.
No, I do get that, Lee. I think the difference is this, and maybe it'll come out in the wash. And if it comes out in the wash and it turns out, so I understand that Nike, for instance, don't pay a lot of tax in any country because Nike, as the business we see in London, the businesses we see in America, they don't make any profit. The company that makes
1%, their tax is in Belize.
Yeah, but essentially what they do is they bring in all the money, but the Nike companies in the USA and in the UK, they have to send all their money to the parent company, which is based in a company offshore. However, there's a way of tracing back to a company that is making money and making profit, right? That you can trace the money back to that company in Belize, and that company in Belize makes money, right? That has a turnover, as an income. There is a service there behind Nike. The problem with some of these sponsors with Man City is nobody can find what they do, the services they provide, the business they offer, anyone who works there. The point is, if I had a company that could afford to sponsor a football club £10 million a year, I'd have at least one employee on LinkedIn, wouldn't I? I would have an office somewhere. They haven't. There's even behind the PO box, there's an investment company that sponsors them. And when you research them, there's very little information, but then you can find a link to sort of a parent company that is 60% owned by one of their main board members. So it's almost, again, there's a lot of these kind of, when you do your...
This goes on in every top elite business. All the richest companies on the planet are doing this. It's not just Manchester City, and there's other Premier League teams that will be doing this. There'll be other league teams lower down the spectrum that will be doing this. They'll all be doing it too.
So you think there's other Premier... I mean, the question I would ask you is this: if you look at all of Arsenal sponsors, are there any of those companies that are owned 60% by Stan Kroenke? Is Stan Kroenke pumping money?
I don't know, to be honest. I genuinely don't know. One thing I do know is that our CEO did a deal with a woman posing as the CEO of a Chinese car company. And our CEO done the deal with that woman, and she weren't. She was a fraud.
No,
these things happen, Terry.
But the point I'm asking you is, like, when you look at Man United as an example, you look at Tottenham as an example, Arsenal to a degree. How much money have you seen your owners pump in? And the sponsor, like Stan Kroenke, is not pumping money in through the back door at Etihad. Emirates Airlines, and then having that, and then Emirates Airlines are pumping it into Arsenal as a way.
And that should be a bigger issue than what Man City are doing.
No, but this is what Man City are doing. So this is what
but that's what I'm saying. Stan Kroenke not doing that, and the Glazers not doing that. That should be deemed as anti everything, and what they're doing to actively try and win should be seen as commendable. And actually,
hang on. So I need to stop you for a second. So what you're saying is Man City cheating the rules but trying to win on the pitch is more admirable than Arsenal and Man United not breaking the rules.
Terry, are you telling me that Arsenal and Man United have never broken a single rule ever? Come on.
That isn't the point here. And
no,
I've seen
the question
answer my question. So
the rule shouldn't exist in the first place.
Hang on. Let me just, but it does exist. Let's not go off topic and let's keep it on point. Have Man United and Arsenal ever cheated? Potentially. Show me the charge sheet. Show me the allegation, and you'll see me react to it in similar ways. But until there's, we can't. We could all throw that out there. It's like you being arrested on suspicion of a massive crime, and your defense being, can you categorically tell me that no one else in this town's ever committed a crime before? It
That's
doesn't
just a
wash.
stupid comparison. A stupid
Why is it?
comparison.
How is it? You just done that comparison.
No, what I'm saying, you just said, yeah, Stan Kroenke is and Man United and all these other clubs are going by the rules. Are they? How do you know that?
But that's exactly the comparison I just gave.
No. But how do you know that? You don't. So my argument to that is, Man City should be charged if they have done something wrong. I've already said that 10 minutes ago. Yeah, my point is that FFP rule, the whole thing about FFP should be scrapped. It should be scrapped. And it's not going off topic.
Lee,
it's not going off topic, Terry. How can somebody be vilified?
Hang on. Let's just not go. We are going off topic because you're literally taking my question onto something else. You just said, I asked you, your first point was, it's more commendable to do what City have done by breaking FFP rules than by Man United's owners and Arsenal's owners not investing in their football clubs. First of all, I wanted to understand what you meant by that. We'll move on to the other subjects.
Okay, well, if you're telling me that because they've may or may not, because we still don't know yet, and this is going to take a while to find out whether they have actually done anything wrong, Terry. This is just all out there in the media at the minute, yeah? We don't know what's happened. But if they haven't done anything wrong, then everyone that's sitting there laughing and mocking and saying they're cheats and they're financial this and financial that are going to look rather stupid, number one. And number two, right, in what world, should it be put in the bin because they want to try and achieve better?
Because this is the thing. So whether or not FFP should or shouldn't exist is a different conversation, which we'll have in a moment. It does exist, though. I'll give you an example outside of football and sport. If a man touches my daughter today and I go and smash him up, morally you would agree with me, right? But legally, I'm still going to prison. I think it's a stupid law.
That depends, doesn't it?
No. I think it's a stupid law that a father can't go and give a man who's hurt his children a punch in the face. I think
that you're taking this totally out of business. Let's compare a business to a business.
I'm giving you an example as to what
that has nothing to do with business.
But I'm giving you most of the time when you give an example or you give an analogy, it's not an analogy from the same scenario. It's taking it away from it to bring it to life. Then you come back to making your point. Let me finish. I think it's a bad law, but it's in place. I understand why some people don't like FFP, but it is in place. And if they've cheated FFP, their defense can't be in the arbitration. And in the case, their defense can't be, well, FFP is a crap law. That won't stand up in court. So from my point of view, and I know City fans are angry, and I know City fans don't want it to be true, and I'll move on to why City fans should be more angry at their club than anybody else in a moment. Defending your club's crazy. And my point to you is, you said everyone's going to look stupid if they get away with this. Well, we know that isn't true. Everybody that doesn't, I know, again, a different scenario, but being found guilty doesn't mean you didn't do it. City having a bigger commercial income when large amounts of their sponsors are businesses that don't even have a reach outside of Abu Dhabi, having a bigger commercial income than the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds, some of those clubs of which sell 3 times as many shirts. Their views and their followers are 2, 3 times, 4 times as big, having a bigger commercial revenue than them. When the majority of the sponsors are brands that nobody's heard of, that only operate inside a part of the world that doesn't have the population to bring in the money and profits to push out that money, something fishy is going on.
Are they breaking any law, i.e. criminal law, on them companies in them countries where them countries are situated? Are they paying all their tax up to date? Let me finish. I'll let you finish.
Lee, what's that got to do with anything? They're not being accused of breaking the law.
No, well, so hang on a minute. Hold on. You're talking about companies that have no reach, but they have this massive income to that company that has no reach, and that's boosted Man City's income to above Real Madrid's, yeah? That's what you just said, right? So what has that company got to do with anything then? Because if that company is up to date with its tax in the country that it's registered in, and it's fine, and everything's cool, and they're not breaking any law, criminal law, then what's the issue with that? Because that company is set up as like a little satellite company, to go and feed into a main company, the umbrella company.
No, because that's against, again, there's no law against that. But there is with FFP in the Premier League.
And FFP is civil, not criminal, Terry.
But they're not being criminally.
I'll let you finish. You gave me a stupid example a minute ago. I want to give you a business example.
Stop. They're not being criminally charged. They are breaking a law. They're breaking the law of a competition. So this is a little bit like doping in athletics. Anabolic steroids are illegal in the UK, the majority, like unless you get prescribed by a doctor. But there are certain pills that you can buy in Holland and Barrett's to help you burn fat that boxers get banned for taking. They won't get arrested because they're not taking a criminally illegal. They're not taking a drug that's criminally illegal. What Man City are being accused of isn't illegal in any capacity. It's not money laundering, but it breaks competition rules within the Premier League. That the Premier League, it's the equivalence of saying, well, it's like if Man City started a game with 12 players on the football pitch, they wouldn't get arrested for it, but they'd get in trouble because it's against the rules of the game. And FFP states that club owners are only allowed to pump in circular £100 million every 3 years of their own money into a football club. And what it appears that they've done is they've got these sponsors on board, and then the shareholders and the owners of Man City pump money into those companies, and that money is then injected straight into Man City. Those businesses do not exist in any real capacity. Some of the companies are accused of not even offering services. It's just a way of pretending their commercial revenue is high so they can sign and buy and pay the wages of the squad they've developed over the last 14 years. Now, if FFP,
so they're actively trying to be more successful, is what you're saying.
That's what they're doing against the rules of the game.
Wow.
So, you're accepting. You think it's okay to cheat the rules?
Terry, the rules shouldn't exist, right? And
Why
I want to use a business.
Why shouldn't they exist?
Let me answer you. I let you speak and from like, and I listen to you. I want to use a business example because you used a stupid example, yeah. A business example. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think when Jeff Bezos set up Amazon and started investing all of his profit back into Amazon to make it bigger and better, and then he decided, yo, I'm going to do next day delivery and I'm going to kill the market? Do you actually think he thought about Jim Bob down the road who has a delivery company and I'm going to squash him and put him out of business? No. Yeah. Was there any rules and regulations in Jeff Bezos' delivery company having to adhere to a certain amount of revenue he can pump back in? You know, how much money he can make back into his business to make his business more successful? Why is it only in football there are these stupid rules and laws to stop owners who actually have ambition? An owner, a company owner, because that is what Sheikh Mansour is. It's a company. Yeah, as much as we call it football, it's a business to them. So the rules and laws are put in place to stop a super ambitious owner who wants to be the most successful owner and win every single competition every single year. That's seen as bad, but the Glazers can take 2 billion quid out of your football club and the FA say, no, that's fine, mate. Make it make sense, Terry. I've seen Man United fans sit there say, oh, well, if they get done for it, yeah, then we get their titles. How about if you had gotten your owner's case, Man City wouldn't have dominated anyway if they'd invested that 2 billion that they stole. Like, come on.
So in response to that, so I'll start with the Man United one. You're right. The Glazers taking £2 billion out the club is a problem. It's a problem. And I would completely and utterly agree that United fans should still be focused on our owners, although they believe by about the middle of next month, the new buyers will be in place. That's one thing there. We'll get on to what should happen with the titles a little bit later, but I agree with that element there. Like, even if we were awarded 3 titles, it wouldn't undo the bad running of the football club. That stuff still remains in place. Your thing about Jeff Bezos and did he care about other delivery companies? No. But if there was a law in the state that he was operating in or in the country at large in America that stated that you could only reinvest, say tomorrow America came out of a law and it stated that you can only reinvest X percentage or a maximum of X amount of millions of dollars back into your business to grow it, to allow competition to flourish. If that law existed and Bezos broke it, then he would be in trouble. Now, whether that law...
I'll just stop you right there. You said competition to flourish.
Let me finish. Because there are competition laws in this world. There are competition laws in certain businesses, even in the UK, so that certain companies can't have a bigger monopoly of certain industries. They do exist in business. My point is that if it did exist, then Bezos couldn't do that. But the rule didn't exist. If FFP didn't exist, then nothing City have done would be wrong. Whether it should or it shouldn't, it was introduced for one reason, and it was introduced by Europe to stop clubs spending more money than they actually earn. And one of the biggest reasons they did this is look what happened to Rangers Look what happened to Portsmouth. Look what's happened to Bury. Look what happened to Leyton Orient as examples. Those clubs got new owners that came in who spent more money than the club could afford to continue spending. They were giving out contracts that if that owner walked away, the club would go bankrupt trying to spend. They built up debts galore. Now, maybe Sheikh Mansour would never allow that to happen to Manchester City. Maybe Sheikh Mansour would never, ever leave them in a situation where they were high and dry and they would go out of business. But FFP needed to be introduced to stop clubs being at massive risk. Because if the Sheikh leaves, so do all these sponsors in Abu Dhabi. They all go. Where's their income going to come to pay Haaland whatever it is he's earning, $500,000 plus a week? They wouldn't have it and be able to afford to do it. Do I think FFP should be stricter against certain clubs? Do I like the direction they're going in now, which is going to limit you to spending up to a certain percentage of your turnover? Absolutely. Do I also think that there's a world where we'll just let owners come in and spend what they want? I agree with that to a certain degree, element, but there still has to be a protection in place. There still has to be something created that will stop that club from going out of business. Because how would you feel if that law came in, a billionaire comes into Arsenal and for 10 years spends more than anybody else, but then runs up huge debts? And when I say debts, I'm talking huge wage bills, huge infrastructure costs, and then says, I'm leaving, sells it for a pittance because he doesn't need the money because he's a billionaire. And then the club is left with outgoings that outweigh its income by double. And Arsenal Football Club went out of business and no longer existed because of that one owner. Would you be happy with that as an Arsenal fan? Would you be happy to even take that risk?
You're using the most backwards logic.
But that's
ever.
literally the reason they brought it in. How's it backwards?
No, it isn't. You said a minute ago, FFP was brought in to help businesses, football clubs all flourish and healthy competition. Rubbish.